Lately, we have seen a lot of changes being introduced in Canada's study visa program. IRCC has been on a very frequent basis introducing changes in the study visa program. If you're applying from outside Canada, we have had big changes such as SDS stream being discontinued. We have seen changes with regards to the postgraduate work permit program. We have changes with regards to the amount of funds you need to showcase, and the list goes on and on. On top of the changes for outside Canada applicants, now we have seen changes for inside Canada applicants, especially for those folks who want to change their DLI inside Canada. IRCC introduced a new update, and this is the update that we are going to focus on in this video. There has been a ton of confusion with regards to the changes that IRCC introduced on November 8th with regards to changing DLIs inside Canada, and comparing the process before and after. It has been very confusing for some students. On top of that, IRCC introduced a new exemption for folks who are admitted in the winter 2025 and summer 2025 semester, and this has been causing a lot of confusion. Folks are worried if they are doing things correctly or not. So that's why we want to clarify all of that in this video. So stay tuned until the end of the video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Dhruv. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. At our firm Effizient, we assist all prospective immigrants with their immigration to Canada. If you are an aspirant, if you are a person who needs assistance, you have specific questions, you have case specific questions, here is our contact information. Feel free to contact us. If you would like to talk to me personally, have suggestions from me, get your case assessed and get advice, the link to book an appointment directly with me is in the description of this video. Feel free to book an appointment and I would be happy to talk to you. Now, before we begin talking about the study permit changes for changing DLIs inside Canada, let's quickly answer the comment of the week. This comment comes on our video on OINP International Student Stream, and the comment is a very good question. Does the study and the job have to be related? Does your job need to be related to the field of study for OINP International Student Stream? The answer is no, you do not have to have a job in the same field as your field of study. It could be different. Just keep in mind, OINP scoring system gives you points for the NOC tier category of your job offer and the occupational category of your job offer, and for field of study they are separate and you get points awarded separately for it, but it's not mandatory that your job needs to be related to your field of study. I hope this helps. So now coming back to the study permit changes. On November 8th, 2024, IRCC made an announcement where they said that you are only allowed to study in the DLI that is named on your study permit. If you wish to change your DLI, if you want to move from, for example, Humber College to Sheridan College or from Sheridan College to University of Waterloo, you need to apply to extend your study permit. You need to obtain a new study permit. You cannot just change the DLI online like it used to be before. You need to apply for a new study permit. Now, of course, as with anything with immigration, there are a lot of nuances here, and IRCC has created some exceptions to this particular rule. So let's dissect this and look at it in detail so we can understand how we can interpret this. So guys, here on the screen you can see the page from IRCC for changing your school or program, and this is essentially the announcement. New process for post-secondary study permit holders. So the first keyword here is post-secondary. So this is applying to post-secondary study permit holders, that is, you're studying at a post-secondary level in a university, college, after completing your high school. Starting November 8th, you must be enrolled in the DLI named on your study permit. This means you can no longer change DLIs by letting us know through your online account. This used to be the procedure before, wherein all you needed to do was go on your online account, click on change DLIs, and you could just switch your DLI from school A to school B without applying for a study permit or without providing any additional documentation. It was as simple as that. Well, going forth now, IRCC is saying we won't accept that any longer. Probably the reason behind this is that there was some fraud going on with regards to DLIs enrolling people and then people changing from one DLI to other to avoid or to circumvent the visa processing system. And hence, IRCC has discontinued that. To change DLIs, you need to get a new study permit or by applying to extend your current study permit, right? So if you want to change DLI now, if you want to go from one school to the other, you have to apply for a new study permit. Now, guys, a lot of folks used to take 1+1 programs, that is 1 year of study program in college A and one another year of study program in the same college or in another college. Now, herein, if you are going to switch your college, switch your school, you will have to first wait for a new study permit before you could start studying in that new program. If you are studying in the same college, then it's a different story. But if you're changing the DLI, then you'll have to get a new study permit. So let's go over this in detail. Now, IRCC has given different scenarios here, and depending on what your situation is, if you're changing schools, there are certain different scenarios that apply to you. So first is if you're going from a primary to secondary school, that is non-post-secondary level, you don't need to change or apply for study permit extension if your study permit is valid. Unless your study permit has conditions that limit you from doing so. If there are specific conditions mentioned on the study permit, you have to follow those conditions. Otherwise, if there are no conditions, then you can just go from primary to secondary school. You don't have to do anything. If you are changing DLIs within primary or secondary level, again, if you are going from primary school A to primary school B, secondary school A to secondary school B, you don't need to do anything. If your study permit is valid, you can do that without any issues. If you are moving from secondary to post-secondary, then you need to apply for a new study permit. And if you finish your secondary studies early, your study permit will no longer be valid after 90 days. After 90 days of your completion, right? So this is a standard study permit condition, that the study permit is only valid for 90 days after you apply for, after you complete your studies. So if say that your validity of the study permit is and the expiry date on the study permit is August 1st 2025, and you finish your studies in December 31st 2024, then in the next 90 days your study permit validity will go away. You won't be able to your technically your study permit, even though on paper it's still valid, in the system or by law it becomes invalid after 90 days of completing studies. So keep that in mind. Next is if you're moving schools from post-secondary to secondary level, you need to get a new study permit or apply to extend your current one if you want to attend a secondary school after being enrolled in a post-secondary. So because your study permit will specifically be issued for the DLI at post-secondary level, you'll need to apply for a new study permit to go back into secondary school. If you are moving between post-secondary levels at the same DLI, now again, if you were studying a 1 year or 8-month course at Fanshawe College, and now you want to continue studying at Fanshawe College for another 1-year course, then you don't really need to apply for a new study permit. As long as your study permit is valid, you can continue studying. And this one is when you are going from one post-secondary education institute to another, you're changing a DLI, you need to apply for a new study permit. Now, guys, this is the crux of the update. Now, essentially, changing your school at a post-secondary as a post-secondary student, in this section IRCC talks about if your application is still in process and you are changing your DLI after submitting the application, then at that point you can just submit a new letter of acceptance and the provincial attestation letter by the IRCC web form, and they will make those changes while processing your application at that stage itself. You won't have to apply for a new study permit. Now, guys, this was the scenario when you are changing schools. Now, there are some exceptions here. This is the first one, right? The first one is that when can you start studying at your new DLI? So now you were in you were doing post secondary studies in college A, and now you're going to start studies at college B. Now, is there a situation in which you can start studying, or what are the conditions you may need to meet in order to start your studies in college B? Well, you can only start studying at your new school while waiting for a decision on a study permit extension. So the basic rule is you have to get a study permit extension, new study permit with the new DLI before you start studying. But now you can still start studying at the new DLI while waiting for a decision on your study permit if you meet the following conditions. You stayed in Canada since you received the LOA from the new DLI, so you have not left the country. You continue to meet the conditions of your previous study permit, which means that you have complied with the conditions of your study permit. Before you completed your course or program from the previous DLI, you find yourself in one of the following situations, which is either your initial college got closed, it discontinued that program of study that you were studying, it was placed on the suspension list, it lost its designated status. So guys, here now they're saying that you were enrolled in say project management course at Venture College as an example, and now you have taken admission in some other course in Conestoga College. What is a scenario where you can start studying at Conestoga while your study permit extension application for that acceptance at Conestoga is still in process? It's only if, say, the Fanshawe College got shut down, or it discontinued the project management course that you were pursuing, or Fanshawe was placed on a suspension list, or it lost its designated status. So these are things outside of your control, which IRCC says that, you know what, will give you an exception for these particular scenarios. If you do not meet these criteria, you should plan to apply for and get your study permit for the new DLI before finishing your studies at the current DLI, just so you receive the study permit in time to start your program at the new DLI. Now, this is a main exception that was created recently. IRCC made some announcement saying that, you know what, this overall change came in November, and it would be unfair to penalize folks who were going to start studies based on the previous rules in winter of 2025 or in spring of 2025. So IRCC says if you were accepted to a new DLI for winter 2025 or spring 2025 semester, this is the only exception, which is you can start studying at your new DLI if you have been accepted to DLI for winter or spring semester and have applied for a study permit extension and have a study permit that remains valid and that doesn't have DLI name printed on it. That means you were issued a study permit. The older study permits did not have DLI names on it. So they're saying that, you know what, if there is no DLI name study printed on your study permit, you can continue studies while the extension application is under process and while you meet all the existing conditions on your study permit. So guys, just keep in mind that your original study permit has to remain valid while you are starting your study at the new DLI and waiting for acceptance or waiting for approval on your study permit extension application for that new DLI. So guys, a lot of folks are confused about this at this point. This requirement or this exception that IRCC has created, it is very nuanced. It does not apply to everyone, and you have to be careful if you fall under this bucket or not, because if you do not and you continue studying without getting your approval on the new study permit, you are in violation, and that can cause big problems for you going forth, even for your postgraduate work permit or other compliance related problems with the IRCC rules and regulations. Lastly, it says that if you change schools and don't tell us, then you are breaking the conditions of study permit. Your study permits may become invalid. You may have your permit cancelled, and you may be asked to leave the country. And also, this may prevent you from coming back to Canada. Your further future applications may be denied because of this. Now guys, that was the discussion on the new regulations with regards to changing DLIs inside Canada. We have talked about the new requirements. that IRCC has introduced and the exceptions. So if you are planning on studying for winter 2025 or spring 2025 semesters, you may fall into the exception. You just need to be careful to ensure that you meet all those conditions that we showed in the video, in the screen record. Um, at the same time, if you do not meet, you need to make sure you apply for your study permit for the new DLI well in advance, so there is no lapse in your status, or you don't have to wait for your approval, delay your studies, and so on. Now, there are a lot of questions about why is IRCC doing all of this. The prior system was easy enough. People were able to change their DLIs without issues. Some people say that there is this is because of all the um, fraud that was going on with the changing DLIs, coming to Canada, taking some course, and then switching it to another one. Um, the other is that IRCC is on a path to kind of discourage folks from coming now, to reduce the temporary residents that are in the country. Um, Either explanations are feasible, it's possible, it probably is a mix of both that IRCC is trying to implement here. In any case, if you are in this situation, please make sure you understand these changes and act accordingly. If you have questions, you need assistance, again, here is our contact information. You can always contact us for clarity, for applying for applications or getting your study permits extended, and so on. That's it for this video, guys. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you are notified about any new video that we upload. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.